Welcome back to Sly, Raccoon, Cooper, whatever. So let's use the keys where we collected and progress through the areas by freeing the kaiju that we just faced in the previous parts.
Sly Racooper.
Sure.
What's he recooing?
He's recooing his losses after the fourth game.
No, in general,
he's
technically recovering the pages of the Thievius Racoonus, so you know it fits. So why not?
No, that's the thing that Sly Cooper became a spirit and he lives on in
Smash Ultimate.
Well, I was gonna make a Ghost of Tsushima joke, but sure.
Oh, did he make a cameo in Ghost of Tsushima?
Explain after the dialogue with Jova. This is another contraption where you basically collect all the keys and then it allows you to propel towards the boss battle against the boss level boss. But basically, Jova, there's a trophy in game also attached to it. Basically, through some minor malarkey with the customization, but you can have Jean cosplay, quote unquote, as Sly. It's more of a color thing. You don't actually get a fursuit or some shit like that. No, it's more like a bandana which has the symbol of Sly's cane on it, and then you have to paint one specific armor with the color blue. That's pretty much it.
It's not as awesome, but still pretty cool.
To be fair, Jova, I will say this: the game compensates this kind of by having origami Easter egg in the post-game scene that you get after the ending. It doesn't encompass a lot. A couple of the major titles that were on the PS4, you know, you get stuff like a origami guitar that represents The Last of Us Part 2, one that represents the motorcycle from Days Gone, for example, a Colossus from Shadow Colossus, and so forth. I can tell you about this already, Jova. No neck included, so there is that.
Gee, it's almost like Sony don't care to remember neck.
Well, Jova, that brings the other side of the coin, because there's nothing that represents Gravity Rush as well, which, yeah, that makes sense too.
Poor Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush just seems to be like this red-headed child that Sony...
Remember, Jova, Japan Studio doesn't exist anymore aside from collaborations.
Well, actually, no, you're forgetting that...
collaboration, Pedro. Blue Point is doing the major work here.
No, I'm not talking about that. You're forgetting about Astrobot, which was very successful, and now we're getting a new Astrobot game that comes packaged with the PS5. So
is that made by Japan Studio?
Yes. Yeah, Japan Studio.
Why haven't I heard of it?
In fact, the creator of Astrobot, that's the thing, Jova. Astrobot is regarded as the new great PlayStation platformer.
That's because Jova, the first game was just VR only.
And apparently, it's a great showcase for the VR, according to people who have played it. But anyway, Astrobot.
Oh, it's a VR exclusive game. That explains it.
But it makes great use of it, from what I've heard. But anyway, that's the thing too. There's a new Astrobot game that comes packaged with every PS5. So Japan Studio is still, and recently the creator of Astrobot got promoted to head of Japan Studio.
Is that the one you actually recommended that we check out? Because I remember you saying something.
No, you're thinking of something else.
Wait.
But anyway, no, I don't even know what Shiro is talking about, but I'm pretty sure it's something else. Because I don't think.
Well, regardless, Japan Studio was mostly collaborating here for Gravity Rush. To be fair, because the main responsible behind that was basically their incorporated team Gravity, which was previously Team Siren, which was previously also Team Silent. Essentially, the guys who made the original Silent Hill, and. Basically, now they have their studio disbanded, but the creator did say that he wants to do something else. We just haven't seen what it actually is.
Huh, charming.
Probably a new IP.
To go back to previously, though, well, Joe, we also have to understand that, Ghost of Tsushima is meant to be a very Akira Kurosawa film style of tone, so having a full-blown cartoonish cosplay would be a bit out of place.
Yeah,
I think I'm not asking for a whole cartoonist cosplay. I think they'll at least give him like the full outfit. Like, I mean, come on. I mean, okay, as something that's like something you can get as like say a special extra. I don't think it's too much to ask for a bit of an outlandish costume that you can play with, say, on like a replay.
On another note, Jova. To be fair, Jova, I do understand a bit how to construct usually No, yeah, it was
What is
just
it,
a glitch, Dweebs, don't worry. Basically, I got a glitch where the turtle was keeping firing on me, but the platform was sinking constantly, so I was a bit in a loop. Anyway, Jova, there is a bit of an art in making Easter eggs and references to past games. I do believe, considering I just platinum basically Ghost of Tsushima, I do believe one cool compromise that we could have done potentially might have been, considering you have a lot of foxes there, you might have found potential situation where maybe because there's like a kanji attached to it, you find a name that is called Carmelita, and Jin questions it because it's really not a Japanese name. The player knows, but in universe it's just there to be an Easter egg without being too intrusive.
Okay,
for
now
example.
that definitely would have been cool, yeah.
Another example for instead a game unrelated, which I think was a missed opportunity, but I do believe it was a case where the developer probably didn't think about, was instead Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn, for those who don't know, possesses a lot of different robotic animal of all kind, which is one of the main appeal of the game and the sequel, of course. One of them is, well, I shouldn't probably say now because it kind of spoils something for the end of this game. So for now, I'll just keep this information in mind and I'll reprise it for the final thoughts. Yeah, I should probably brought it up there.
Wait, so did they have something based on that character?
I'll tell you more later, Joe.
Okay.
Anyway, this power-up basically allows you to slow down constantly, not just while jumping. So, but again, I do believe that the slow-mo power-up is kind of useless, to be honest. Yeah, look at that. I can do the Zack Snyder thing. That means real now.
It's kind of like the red gem in Sonic 06, where the only thing it does is basically guarantee you an S rank, but in terms of actually helping you in the gameplay, it doesn't really do anything.
Honestly, it doesn't get. I don't think it's in terms of slow-mo power-up. I think the Prince of Persia, the two thrones, the two thrones, but also technically speaking, Warrior Within, kind of set up the basic. It simply slows down everything, and I'm pretty sure previous games before those also did that. It slows down everything except you for a limited time, but the cost is usually that it needs to recharge something, something to balance out. But you shouldn't be penalized as well, because if it slows even you, what's the point?
Time Break in Sonic and the Secret Rings was also a bit of an interesting idea, where it allowed you to have a much better reaction time to stuff here and there.
Alright, let me explain. This vehicle works a bit better. It has the same control. Basically, all the controls with the turret kind of has the only vehicles with the turret kind of has the same controls. You go with the left analog stick, aim and shoot with the right analog stick. This one controls better mostly because it's much smoother. And now you're basically on a platform, and you need to get rid of ghost that arrives thanks to the tombstones, but you also need to destroy. The tombstones also allow, I forgot if I said already, as enemy generators, quote unquote. So it'll be allowed a bit of an excuse to have more enemies showing up in this particular hub. I checked also on some side stuff like TV tropes, and apparently I don't think it's mentioned in my Italian version of the game, but I think in the English one is. Ghost of Tsushima also has an Easter egg to Infamous, where one of the bandanas, I think it's mentioned, it's written off the second son, which is tied to the other game that Sucker Punch did for the PS4, Infamous Second Son. Which, fair enough. The series also doesn't feed itself of complex Easter eggs for that.
It's interesting because you mentioned the foxes. That's the thing, which is interesting considering the creative director of all three of these Sucker Punch IPs.
Nate Fox. Yes, he was also the writer of this trilogy, so he has been kind of mainstay.
He's also the lead writer for Tsushima. I don't know if he's the lead writer for Infamous. I'm assuming
he was the director at the very least. The thing is that for the Night trilogy, the credits are a bit sketchy. IMDb says something, and Wikipedia says something else. I have forgot to check the actual credits of the game, so I will pay attention in between parts. But the information that I got consistent is that Nate Fox worked on all of these games, either director or writer. It's just a matter of understanding in what capacity he did.
He's basically the creative head of the studio.
Again, another thing that I said, the Sucker Punch is a team that has remained consistent throughout the ages, and that's impressive considering a lot of studios. It's similar to what Pedro was mentioning for Mortal Kombat. It's nice to see a studio where at least the most key people actually, stayed despite everything.
Well, here's the thing too, when it comes to... No, that's the thing. Yuji and Ed Boon go even one step further, because Nate Fox did move on from Sly Cooper to make other things, which is perfectly fine, but Ed Boon and Yuji Ori literally decided to dedicate their entire careers to one franchise.
Their own franchise, true.
True.
I think it helps that they have...
been rarer.
I think it helps that they have major companies really to back them, Square.
That too.
That has nothing... that has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it, Whips. The primary reason, remember, it's the same thing that happened in the 90s, where right after Sonic and Knuckles, Naka, Oshima, and Yasuhara kind of got tired and Sonic wanted to make Knights, and Burning Rangers, they wanted to move on to other things. Eventually, most developers, they kind of grow fatigue and want to work on something different to recharge their creative juices.
There we go. We just need to destroy these 3 tombstones, and we're good to go. Shit.
I'm personally still convinced that Iizuka really wants to make Knights free, since he expressed that desire back in 2010.
Yeah, he clearly does.
There we go.
All right.
I think we're missing 2 more keys, either 2 or 3. I think it's 2. Yeah, this hub is also the one that has probably the most mini-games, only a couple of the actual platforming challenges. Alright, this one is a bit weird. It's similar in structure to, say, a Bomberman game, just without the use of bombs for Onyo.
Oh, the Chicken Hut mini-game.
But we've got no choice. That ghost over there contacted me on Spectre Wave Radio.
Because it can.
Promised us a key.
Yeah, the running joke, if you pay attention to that, the running joke with this hub is that Bentley, being a turtle of science, it's not, disgusted by this because he has the paranormal, but because it's unsanitary, which, makes really sense when you think about it.
And of course, being Bentley, he still finds ways to communicate with the spirits. Technologically, of course.
Well, Bentley, as a character, Bentley is very interesting because despite being of science, he's not, willing to reject the paranormal at all. Like, if he finds it, he's willing to experiment with it.
Given his line of work, I can kind of understand that.
Man, Link wishes he could do this.
Yeah, that's the thing. If Link tries to do this, he'll be killed by the Cuckoo Battle Squad.
When it comes to
the chickens in Zelda are immortal. No matter how much you hit them, they will always survive. So
and then they will call reinforcements.
Yeah.
Basically, when it comes to the bomb roosters, you have to make sure that you jump over the boxes and everything in order to make sure that they collide, and thus they explode to each other. As soon as you reach 50 chickens with the count, you're good to go. Jesus.
Well, look at the example that you and I are equally familiar with too, where after Final Fantasy IX, Sakaguchi for some reason thought he was a filmmaker, and he was able to make one. So, yeah.
Well, he still tried to make something Final Fantasy, apparently.
No,
in name only, Jova.
I
really have to admit it, Jova. It really is in name only. There's like 1 or 2 minor Easter eggs, and you really have to search it with a lens.
But guys, it has a chocobo in it. That totally makes it Final Fantasy.
Why yes, Jova? The 2010 movie was also called The Last Airbender. It's totally an Avatar movie, isn't it?
I honestly think that The Last Airbender movie is more in common with source material than Spirits Within as with Final Fantasy.
It does, but like only in like vague visual cues, really.
basically, it's, you know, when it comes, yes, Last Airbender is technically Avatar: The Last Airbender. After you ran it through a grinder, shook it up, threw it into space, flung it
And
into
then
the
give
sun.
them to M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh god.
Anyway, this is another vehicle level, but this is weird because you have a flamethrower instead of a turret. In order to recharge it, you have to run over fish. I guess you're converting fish oil into fuel.
You know, speaking of M. Night Shyamalan, have not really heard from him ever since he managed to tank his reputation again with the ever so wonderful Glass. Seriously, like, seriously.
Let me check.
He has like a relationship with the people at Blumhouse, so he's most likely gonna make another cheap horror movie again.
Probably, but I mean, god dang, I mean, it's almost kind of sad though, seeing him. He was back up on the rise.
Okay, he's filming a movie called Old. Yes, the movie's literally called Old. Scheduled for July 23rd, 2021.
Is it a Blumhouse movie?
No, Binding Edge Pictures, but it's still distributed by Universal, so I still think it's not running too much around. With Gael Garcia Bernal, Rufus Sewell, Eliza Scanian, Thomas E. McKenzie. I don't recognize any of these actors, to be honest.
Okay.
Ah, so Joaquin Phoenix isn't in this one.
Well, fine. In that case, here's an even better example. Every single video game movie made by Uwe Boll, where literally none of them have anything, and I would literally nothing to do with either game.
Pretty much.
Especially
but Pedro, the House of the Dead movie is totally a prequel to the series.
Sure it is.
And hey, I'm sure In the Name of the King totally planned for Jason Statham to be the son of Burt Reynolds. Seriously, that was...
Not to mention, Jova, the protagonist of 2 is supposed to be also like a descendant of Jason Statham, but he's played instead by... I forgot which guy.
Lundgren?
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. Like, no, sorry.
And then when it comes to the 3rd movie, they got the douche who played
the brother from Prison Break, yes.
I'm pretty sure he also plays...
A.k.a. Drake from Blade Trinity.
Exactly.
Yes, Dweebs, by the way, he's really a piece of wood in terms of acting in that movie as well.
Let me put it like this, Dweebs.
Yeah, I know, I've seen the movie.
Let me put it like this, Dweebs. Him playing Drake was actually one of his better performances if In the Name of the King 3 is anything to go by.
Well, I heard he's good in Prison Break.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's a series where his acting facilitates the role, you know.
He's in a role that caters to his strengths. Basically.
Yeah. There we go. Now we just need to get to the pressure plate and we're good to go.
In the same way that you cast God, I'm drawing a blank right now. Just carry on while I think.
Well, it's time to face Miss Ruby, actually. Now, first thing first, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot if I mentioned already, Miss Ruby is voiced by Prisciliana Sparolini. This was like her first role, and she has done I don't think she has done any video game role after this. She's mostly a TV actress now.
I see your mouth moving. But all I hear is blah, blah, blah.
What's with
Well,
the chickens?
Jaws need to fly.
No, the voice.
Yeah, that's supposed to be like a Cajun accent, but I have to admit, it's very annoying.
I don't really know Cajun accents.
Actually, it's pronounced Cajun.
From what I can tell...
The one that Gambit has. I prefer the Italian voice they gave her, no particular accent there.
Ah, so it's a platforming challenge, boss, of course.
At first, Jova. It will become spiced up in a second, just right after I hit her once.
I know, but it's a lot like Entropy.
Kinda. Well, if Entropy loves Simon says.
Quite true. Quite
You want a bet, Sly?
Why don't I have my servant Chumley escort you over here?
All right. What's the catch?
Oh, not much. Just a little game I like to play with all my annoying guests. I want to see how well you pay attention.
What do you mean?
Well, I'll unleash my mighty mojo.
You can also tell Kevin Miller was experimenting with the role. He has much more fun in the next games in voicing.
Not only that, but I'm noticing a trend that often when it comes to the first game in a video game franchise, oftentimes the soundtrack always tends to go for atmospheric as opposed to more focused in a lot
Different
of
composer as well. Remember, Peter McCollum will, give the series a more identity. Anyway, yeah, just like I said, Simon says. And this is the point that I mentioned before, Jova, where the music was slightly altered for some reason in this HD version. So the music can actually throw you off, unlike in the original where it was supposed to keep on the rhythm.
But yeah, that actually does work. That's the same thing that happened with the Gears of War soundtracks, where the first game had a more atmospheric type of soundtrack, but when Steve Jablonski took over for 2, a much more cinematic, typical film score.
It's seriously a trend that I notice a lot when it comes to video game franchises. Like, I mean, this game series as well. I mean, not to say that the soundtrack for this game is bad by any means, but I noticed that on certain stuff, like even bosses, the themes feel more atmospheric as opposed to more memorable, like, say the later games would become. Like, I wonder, is it like some unwritten law to always play it safe with thy first game? Make it very atmospheric, so that it may attract many, the common folk.
And then for the third one, being a trilogy, it being a culmination of the series at that point. Yeah, it's kind of similar in that as well. Yeah. Surprisingly.
It's kind of like with Crash Bandicoot,
This has always been one of the bosses that I struggle with the most because I suck balls at rhythm games.
Thankfully,
really?
I'm actually the better one at the QTEs, so there we go.
Oh, trust me, Joe.
I love rhythm games.
Oh, trust me, Joe. I tried Kingdom Hearts. I tried the demo for Melody of Memory, and I suck balls even at the tutorial. That's how bad I am.
Wow.
Oh.
And now a little much to Rayman of all things by running one of the mosquito enemies.
I should try the demo for that.
I haven't tried it yet myself.
It's actually really good, even though I suck. I can tell it's it actually works. Does a good job in picking tracks. It has Fate of the Unknown for once, which is a track that is criminally underrepresented in the series.
Wasn't like the theme, Michael, that they're pretty much bringing back everything in the kitchen sinks, just soundtrack-wise for this game?
No. Fate of the Unknown is the track that plays in the secret ending of Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, the first time we saw Master Xehanort.
Oh, I know. My point is, like, well, wasn't it kind of the point that Memory of Melody was going to bring back everything in the kitchen sink soundtrack-wise?
Oh, I know that, but that's exactly the point. That's a good thing. That's what I'm saying.
But it won't help you none if you're fixing to go after the Panda King.
So basically, no.
Yeah, next time we're going to China.
So basically, no Aries, but you'll soon be up against much worse.
Pretty much.
Yeah, well, if he's anything like the rest of you, I think I'll manage.
Huh.
Section of the Thievius Racoonus held notes from
Alright, let's see the newspaper that's coming up because Carmelita is bound to show up.
From corrupt pharaohs and greedy noblemen. Right on schedule.
Yeah, by the way, this power-up will be used as kind as it will show later.
Zombies made illegal in the world peace of
that's
hold on. Let's see. Latin hottie bust big bad voodoo mama. Oh my.
That's another consequence of this being the first game in the series. Like, they throw in so many power-ups and abilities, but a lot of them are very useless, like you yourself said. Like, it feels like
you should
have tightened the focus and stick on a smaller number of abilities / power-ups, but have them so you can actually properly make levels that actually take advantage of them.
The thing is that a lot of these do return in the next couple of titles with minimal tweaking, so they do probably have some utility for all players, It's just that I didn't find any major practical uses myself. Anyway, next time we go, as mentioned, to China to confront the Panda King. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
So, yeah.